I'm Bernadette Brady, and I want to talk to you about the story of fate. In our contemporary world, the establishment position about what fate is something that as astrologers we don't recognise. So here's Google and the AI sort of contribution to what fate is. Fate refers to a predetermined course of events that cannot be changed, an inevitable and often negative outcome, or the overarching power believed to control all things. But it's just not a valid argument, and it's not an argument that's supported by the evidence that history tells us. So let's be rid of that. And what we're going to do in this course is precisely that, be rid of that. We're going to take 5 weeks to firstly look at the ancient roots of fate, the idea of the Mesopotamian and their origins of astrology, the Egyptian view of fate. We'll move from then into the next week into the fate and soul, which is the classical period, Plato, and then into the medieval period with the works of Guido Bonatti. We look at fate and God, which is moving from the medieval into the Enlightened period, and we look at astrologers like Galileo, yes, he was an astrologer, as well as the works of William Lilly. Then we'll dive into fate and free will, which is the philosophical tension that contemporary philosophy has with trying to find a place for free will in their very powerful doctrine of determinism, and the impact that's had on the practice of astrology in terms of the criticism that gets levelled at astrology where fate is defined, as we saw in that Google definition of fate. And then finally, in the last week, we'll look at fate and astrology, and really fate and the astrologer, and we look at that through the voices of 21st century astrologers. So the results of surveying over 1,000 astrologers, but as well as talking to all the major authors in astrology in the early 21st century. And some of these authors are, if I can just pop this up, for example, this is a list of the interviews that I conducted, and with some wonderful, wonderful astrologers, with all coming from different areas of astrology, different ways of practicing astrology, different schools of astrology, but all talking about fate. And so, for example, from Liz Green, the wonderful psychological Jungian astrologer, talking about her dream of souls and her approach to fate and her Stoic notions of fate. From there, not necessarily in this order, Dimitri George, that fantastic Hellenistic astrologer, talking about fate within Hellenistic astrology and how to put that across to your clients. And then from Dimitri, looking at the work of Alan Oken and his interview with me, where he's a wonderful, he was, we've now lost him, but he's an esoteric astrologer, and his very humorous stories about how he moved to Portugal to try and manipulate fate to get around a difficult transit that he was having. And also, for example, the voice of Robert Hand and his wonderful pragmatic ancient astrology, but as well as Aristotelian approach to astrology. So we look at all of these different voices and try and find the common elements in them to try and understand what fate means within astrology past and astrology today. So if you're interested in fate, if you're interested in how you live with fate or how astrologers live with fate, most importantly, if you want to dive into what actually could fate be, what actually is it, then this course is for you. It's all recorded, so you can dip into it and catch up. If you can't attend it live, you can do it and catch up. And here it is. Here's the information down here. We start on the 16th of October. It's through the University of Wales and through the Sophia Centre, as well as, in addition to, or if you can't get time to do the course, you can buy the book, my new book, just out, shameless ad, a new book just out on Amazon today. But we'll do more in the course than what I've done in the book, but the two things combine together quite nicely. So hopefully enjoy the book, or I'll see you in the course, as well as we'll have lots of time for discussion and questions. So hopefully I'll see you somewhere along the line. Okay, bye-bye.